$250 now, $500 bid now, $250 now, $500 now, $750 bid now, $1,000 now, $1,250 now, $250. And good morning, and live from Lincoln Center at the intersection of the North Dallas Tollway and the LBJ Freeway. I am honored and excited to have a friend from a long time back, and that would be the great American actor, Burton Gilliam. Good morning, Burton.
I'm so proud to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, we've been trying to get this thing scheduled for a while.
We have been talking about it for a while. That's right.
And we're live, so we've got folks. There'll be folks tuning in from all over the world. We're pretty
all over the world.
Oh, absolutely. Decatur, Texas, Italy, Texas. Rome,
do you go
Texas.
But you don't go to Muleshoe, right?
Only on Thursdays.
On Thursday.
So, well, anyway, we'll get to the point of why we're having you here today. You have been an actor for a long time, and a lot of people don't know where you are from, where your history. And of course, most everyone knows you from Blazing Saddles. That is your big breakout part.
I've done a lot of big pictures, but nothing will replace Blazing Saddles.
There's worse situations. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and I know that you are an alum of Woodrow Wilson High School.
Woodrow Wilson High School. Woodrow Wilson, oh Woodrow Wilson, Woodrow. Well, I won't sing the whole fight song.
I think that was good. So, tell me a little bit about your background. Go back to growing up in Dallas, and I know you have a history with the fire department and a lot of stuff like that.
Yes, I do. I did go to Woodrow Wilson High School. Went to J.L. Long and went to O.M. Roberts grade school. I'm a Dallas guy. I did my 23 years in Hollywood, but I'm a Dallas guy, and I'm actually a Fair Park guy.
Are you?
I'm one of the very few people that ever lived inside the confines of Fair Park.
Did you just get? You couldn't figure out how to get out of there?
No, they had this big 8-foot fence around our house. That's a fact. Back when I was about 3 years old, for about a year and a half, my father. Well, this is back during World War II. My father was a night watchman at Fair Park, and they had a house for us, and it was the only house. It was back where the parking lot is off of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. One house there, 2-bedroom, little shack that was about to fall down, But that's where we lived, and it was surrounded by an 8-foot fence. If my father was not at home at the time, we couldn't get out. My mother would call down to the grocery store and get a loaf of bread or something, and they'd come down and throw it over the fence to us.
That is crazy. So, well, I don't know if we can top that. I lived at Fair Park. Well, you're not living there now.
No, I don't live there now.
I know you've had some great parts. We want to talk a little bit about Hollywood while we can. Who would you say is the most famous person you've worked with?
Burt Reynolds.
Really?
Yeah.
You have any story about that?
Oh yeah. Oh, I got a lot.
That you can actually tell.
We're talking about Burt Reynolds, folks. Yeah. Let me tell you a dear story about him. Burt is always good to everybody around him. Everybody loves him, but Burt was always about a half an inch from going off, because he was always so involved with everything that, producing and directing and acting, and he was just always on edge, but everybody loved it. Okay. 5 weeks before he died, mm-hmm. and he died, 6 weeks ago, something like that. 5 weeks before he died, he sent me, and I hadn't seen him in about 3 years, or talked to him in about 3 years. He sent me a video, and he was sitting in a chair, had a cane there, and he did not look good. This is 5 weeks before he dies. he said, I just wanted to get a hold of you and tell you that I love you. And I'm so proud, he said to me, I'm so proud that you made the name Burton work for you, because I couldn't make it for me, because his name was Burton also. He's Burton Leon, I'm Burton Lee. So I always called him Leon, he called me Lee. But he just sent me this video, which I will keep forever.
Sure.
To tell me he loved me. I think
That's pretty
cool.
special.
Pretty special.
Well, I think you probably knew kind of how things were going.
Yeah,
and
I think
he
so,
was just
too.
kind of telling you goodbye.
I was probably on a list of 4,000, but I'm glad to have been on that list.
It's kind of like your recent birthday party, which I'm still waiting for the invitation.
It's coming. It's coming.
I'm going to send you a video. So you had a pretty historic birthday lately.
Did, yes.
Tell about it a little bit.
My birthday is August 9th, 1938, which means I'm 80 years young. And my birthday lasted for about 8 or 10 days anyway. It just, people would take me to dinner, and take me and my wife to lunch and different things. But about 2 weeks ago, 12 days ago, my wife threw me a surprise birthday party, and 6 weeks after my birthday is a surprise, boy.
Well,
It
better
worked.
late than never.
Yes. Oh, it was wonderful. 150 people from every era of my life, and all the different things I've done. I saw people I hadn't seen in 60 years. You know.
Wow.
It was wonderful. She did a great job. Thank you, Susie.
There you go. And I understand you even heard from Mel Brooks.
I did hear from Mel Brooks. Of course, every 10 years, he always sends me something.
Yeah.
On 60, 70, and 80, he has sent me something every year. You know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the guy.
He's the guy.
He's the
For
guy.
me, he's been the guy.
So tell us a little bit about working in Blazing Saddles. Let's go back to that just a little bit.
I had done, in 1972, I got a chance to be in a picture called Paper Moon, which was a big picture. It was nominated for Best Picture of the Year. Won a couple of Academy Awards.
Didn't Tatum O'Neal?
Tatum O'Neal won the Academy Award at 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Youngest
anyway, I
person
didn't mean to
ever.
interrupt, but I'm having flashbacks.
Oh.
I have a lot of those. Some have nothing to do with Paper Moon.
Well, you don't have 80 years of it, though. You know.
Yeah, well, it's not the years, it's the miles.
Hey, that's pretty good. I'm going to remember that.
That's true.
Where were we?
We were talking about the Paper Moon.
Paper Moon.
And
And
the awards.
Blazing Saddles. I had done this little picture called Paper Moon while I was a fireman in Dallas. This is that was in November of 1972. Went back to the fire station. Never thought I'd do anything else. I thought, well, it was a fun time. Had a great part. It was fun. And then 3 months later, in February, I got a phone call at the fire station. And when you're at the fire station, you answer the phone. You say, "Fire Station 39, Burton Gilliam speaking," and this guy says, "Hi, my name's Mel Brooks. I'm a writer, director, producer, actor, and I'm getting ready to do a big picture, and I want you to be a part of it." I said, "Thank you, Mr. Brooks," and I hung up. I just hung up the phone because I knew it was another fireman calling me, giving me a bad time, you know. Well, luckily for me, he called back in about 10 minutes and talked to my captain, and I was outside. My captain poked his head out the window door, and he said, "Some guy on the phone here named Mel Brooks. Do you know him?" I said, "No," but he said, "Well, he's in movies, and he wants to talk to you." I said, "Oh, okay." So I go talk to him, and he tells me who he is, and then I believe him, you know. And he says, "I want you to be in my picture. I saw a rough cut of Paper Moon last night, and talked to Peter Bogdanovich, the director, about you, and he said hire you." And I said, well, I'd like to, but I don't have any vacation time coming. I've used it all up. He thought that was funny.
Yeah, I'm tired. I can't get off.
Yeah. So he said, well, he convinced me to come out and talk to him, and I thought I was just going to get a little free ride out to first class out to see him. So I go in this, cutting it to the chase, I go in this big conference room, and there's 10 or 12 people behind a desk. I recognize one person there, and that was Richard Pryor, who was one of our writers. But Mel Brooks jumped up and jumped over the table and ran up and pinned me against the wall. He weighed about 120 pounds. And he said, this is the guy we want right here, right here. He's telling this to all these other people. Anyway, we talk, and he gives me a script, said, come back and see me tomorrow. I go back and see him and Richard the next day. And I said, well, there's really nothing in this picture. I had a lot to do in Paper Moon. There's nothing to do. And they said, well, that's what we got. I got on the plane, went back to Dallas. Then about a week later, I'm sitting around home, and phone rings, and this guy, I say, hello, and this guy says, hey, man, is it Richard? I said, Richard who? He said, Richard Pryor, man. And folks, when I tell this story, every time, and I've told it, I'm about up to 3 million now, I get a little goosebumpy, you know?
Yeah.
Because I can hear his voice, right? He said, we really want you to do this picture and want you to come back and talk to us again because we've rewritten your part, and it's really, you open the picture and you tell how crazy it's going to be. You're not going to tell where it's going, but you're going to tell people how crazy it is. I said, y'all going to pay for it first class. I go back again, and I tell them, okay, I read it. I tell them, okay, I'll do it, but I can't do it for what I did on Paper Moon, which was scale, which was $282 for the week. I said, I have to quit the fire department. So they send me around to see the casting department, and we can't get together on money. They don't even talk about it. There's no money in this picture. So next day, I go home. Next day, Mel Brooks called me and said, what happened? I said, y'all don't have any money. He said, I'll call you back. Called me back and said, when can you come back and see me again? Mm-hmm. I said, well, I've taken off from the fire department here twice, and it's going to be a while. He said, well, we got 6 weeks. I said, well, it'll probably be about 10 days. And he said, call me when you can come, and we'll get it all set up for you. I go back and see him, sit down in front of him. We talk for a minute, and he says, how much you going to take for us to get you to do this part? I thought, man, I'm going to shoot the moon here. I'm really going to go for it. This is early 1973.
Yep.
I said, well, you know, at the fire department, I make $12,000 a year. I know that impressed him. You know,
that's his laundry bill.
Yes. And I said that I couldn't do the picture for any less than I make in a whole year. And he said, well, we're giving you 3 weeks on the picture, $4,000 a week. That's fine. Mike, how much did I leave on the table?
There's no telling.
No telling, you know.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, I had 4.5 weeks, and with overtime, made $25,000.
Sweet. 2 years' pay.
2 years' pay, exactly, right.
That'll get you hooked.
That was a hook.
So, most people have seen Blazing Saddles, and I will tell you, if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. I bet I've seen Blazing Saddles 50 times. Mm-hmm. And if it comes on, you can't. It's one of those movies
you're going to watch part of it.
You're going to watch. Yeah. You're going to stop.
Yeah.
Who did you enjoy the most working with on that picture?
Well, Alex Karras and I lived together. I did the first 2 days at the Universal Sheridan. He said, hey, you drove your car out here. I don't have a car, but I've got a 2-bedroom apartment over here that someone gave him every time he came to Los Angeles. And he said, why don't you come over and stay with me? It won't cost you anything, and we'll have the car. And I said, oh, boy, that's great. Alex was great. You know, he was Bongo.
Famous Detroit Lion.
Yeah, oh, yeah. And, you know, he had done about a year and a half before that. He had done Paper Lion.
Yeah.
About the
I remember that with Plimpton.
And it made him a
George Plimpton.
George Plimpton.
Yeah.
So anyway, Alex and I were great friends, but Slim Pickens and I became
Tight.
inseparable.
Yeah.
We were just
Well, you're kind of cut from the same cloth.
exactly. Yeah, because Slim said, "You just kind of follow me and watch kind of what I do, because it's worked for me, and you just do what I do." And so I did. And Slim never could say the same line twice.
Right.
He always said something different, and I did that, a little of that too. But his whole family and I, and my wife, we became great friends.
That's cool.
And when he passed away about 5 years ago, I was only one of 2 actors that was invited to his memorial service up in Columbia, California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever actually live in California? Or did you?
23 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. I was there 23 years. Took me 21 of those to figure out how to get out.
What town did you live in?
We lived in Studio City. We lived in Hollywood. We lived in Burbank.
Mm-hmm. So you drank the Kool-Aid.
I drank the Kool-Aid. You got that right.
You're not in Dallas anymore.
We were real close to NBC, and we used to go down. Johnny Carson became a great friend. And,
oh, that's cool.
And he'd just say, "Anytime you want to come back, come on down." And they would give us what they called taped seats. Right there on the front. Tape. Do not sit here. Burton Gilliam, go sit here.
Sweet, sweet. I used to love those shows, and we actually lived. What year did you move out there?
1973.
73.
Yeah.
Yeah. We moved to Orange County in '68, and we were there until about '73.
Oh.
And we'd had enough.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. So we were in Southern California, then we went to Northern California.
What city did you live in?
We were in Brea.
In Brea.
Yeah. Which Brea at that time, I was there when they built the first McDonald's. And you knew you were on the map when you had a McDonald's.
You bet.
But we lived on Imperial Highway.
Oh.
And there was nothing between there and the city except orange groves. There was an A&W root beer stand and a department store called Zodi's.
Zodi's, yeah, sure. I remember Zodi's.
And then there was nothing until you got to La Habra, literally. And they had the big theater, the drive-in theater.
Golly.
And that's when we got to California. I remember very well going to the drive-in like the first week we were out there, because you think you're in Hollywood. You're not. You're not.
You are in the orange groves back then.
We were.
There's not an orange grove there.
And I remember the first move. It was a 2-movie deal, and it was the Wild Bunch and Kelly's Heroes.
Brando and
you remember in that one, you had Ben Johnson was in it, those guys.
Yeah.
Man, that's back when Peckinpah did that one.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. I never got to work with Peckinpah. Met him, but
I'm surprised of that. I'm surprised of that.
Oh boy.
So, for the sake of the viewers who don't know you as well as I do, tell us a few other roles that would stand out, some movies that you've been in, some people you worked with.
Honeymoon in Vegas was really big. I'm the Flying Elvis Utah chapter. Fletch was huge. It's
Chevy
Chase's favorite picture he ever did, and I do some really crazy stuff in that thing. And Back to the Future 3 and The Getaway, and there's 52 of them.
Is that right?
Yeah.
52 films.
I've done probably 15 that were really, really big.
Big movies.
You may have missed Soccer Dog. Did you or did you go see it 3 or 4 times?
I don't know that I must have missed that one. I don't know. I was probably watching Kelly's Heroes again.
When you do a picture, I don't care if it's a little picture, big picture, the casting people and the director will always say, "Oh, and this is going to be a big picture. It's going to be a little picture, but it's going to make a lot of money and it's going to make a lot of noise." Soccer Dog?
Can you even find Soccer Dog?
I do have a copy of it.
You're the one.
I'm the one.
So who was in Soccer Dog?
a guy named Ernest something was the star of it. Said nobody. There were
Really?
nobody. A lot of people they thought were gonna really hit it.
This was going to be their
but
breakout role.
Never did happen.
Soccer dog.
Soccer dog, you'll love it.
Yeah, I bet. I can't wait. I'll have to call my assistant and get one, get it pulled up. So you went out, you lived out there for about 23 years.
Yeah.
And then
And I met my wife there actually.
You did?
After I'd been there about almost a year, and right after I moved out in June of '73, and I met. Do you remember Robbie Benson?
Mm-hmm. Sure, sure. I remember that. What was that movie? What was his big basketball movie? You and I.
Yeah, it
you
was
and I,
his.
I was actually.
He wrote it. Yeah.
Oh, did he? I was actually going to North Texas at that time, and I remember going to the movie and seeing that movie.
He wrote it while he was living with me. I met him doing a pilot up in San Francisco in '73, and met his parents, and they said, "Well, Robbie's going to be graduating from high school this summer. Could he come out and stay with you for a while?"
Wow.
Here I was, 34 years old, and I got this kid living with me, 33 years old, and he was just the nicest kid, good kid, who was going at that time with Glennis O'Connor, who was a girl that was about to make a move, and she was a pretty good little star for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But Robbie lived with me for about 6 months, and I loved him, but he drove me crazy. He was on the phone all the time. Glennis lived about 3/4 of a mile from us. They could just, hey, why don't I meet you down at McDonald's, and or not McDonald's, not Burger. What's the other one?
The In-N-Out?
No, golly, the first one ever was in Burbank, California.
Oh, really?
What?
Was it like Big Boy or something?
Big Boy, Bob's Big Boy.
Yep.
I said, why don't y'all just meet at Big Boy?
Do you realize that you and I were probably just a handful of people here that know anything about Bob's Big Boy?
Yeah.
I just love their little guy standing out holding the hamburger.
That's right. You
and
bet.
there's one that, right there near Hollywood, right there off the freeway.
Oh yeah.
So that's where everybody stopped. They filmed They filmed quite a few things there.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
You bet. Yeah. Well.
So Big Boy was where they meet.
It was great, and I remember hearing that they were Kip's Big Boy here,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But you could go in and get a hamburger and fries and a drink for 85 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that was back in the late '60s.
Sure. Oh, I remember. I remember. Back where we were living in Brea, it was, there was nothing there. I mean, literally. What the weird thing about Brea, if you go there now, it's like Plano, Frisco, just huge. Everything's a monster. They've got freeways going everywhere.
Just miles and miles of homes.
Yeah.
And
it looks like
strip
North Dallas.
malls. Yeah.
In fact, when I fly in now over North Texas, don't you find that amazing?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because when I moved to Dallas, the tollway ended here in front of this building, and it was a street. And my first residence was it was across from where Lowry's is now, which was the Rusty Pelican back then. And you could walk across the street. And, all the car dealerships used to be right here. People forget that we had Ewing, Buick, and all those things, Parkway, Pontiac, all that was right here. Now they're all gone. And it's amazing to me how disposable buildings and everything is.
They became, because they were gone. They're gone. And it's, I haven't been in this building right here in about 20 years, and this building is probably 25 years old, something
probably
like that.
Older.
Maybe more.
Probably longer. Yeah. That's what's amazing now is, as you know, by becoming younger all the time, it's the buildings. I remember when they built them, and now it's like, well, that building's been there 35 years. I'm going, really? Nice.
Do you know where the Meadows building is?
Sure.
That, when you got out of downtown,
that was
the tall building, and it was probably 8 stories
on
or
Central,
something.
on
And
Central
I guess
Expressway.
it's still there, but it's surrounded by.
Well, that's where the Cowboys headquarters was. Right there.
Yeah.
And you just drive by. Isn't it weird how you have a feeling when you drive by something like the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, it was That was a big deal.
Everybody knew that's for the Dallas Cowboys.
Now look at the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
they're like a city.
that's right.
It's crazy. So you've been doing a lot of spokesman work. You've worked with a lot of dealerships and things of that nature. In fact, when the National Auctioneers Association came to Dallas, or Addison and Dallas about 3 years ago, I had you come out and you represented yourself quite well and worked with the crowd, and they loved having you there. You know, I don't know how many pictures you took that night, but you I highly recommend anyone that is looking for someone, a celebrity, that can come out and interact well with their clientele, whether you're a corporate, a business, if you've got some type of a conference going on and you want some entertainment. Nobody's better than you because you got that personality. I mean, I got hired to go to New York. I don't know. This has been 35 years ago, probably, to work for a real estate auction company in Hop Hog, New York, on Long Island.
Hop Hog, yeah.
Of course, Hop Hog.
Hop
Yeah,
Hog.
I can't spell it, but I've been there. And I asked the guy. He wanted an entire Texas crew, all men from Texas, all in Western wear. He wanted us to wear our boots, and we weren't wearing hats, but we were doing the boot thing. And I said, and so what is the purpose? There's some kind of a new male dance troupe or something. And they said, no, we like the personality of the people from the South and people from Texas. They just have the right attitude, and they don't come across with the Eastern accents and that kind of mannerisms. And they like the Southern charm, and we charmed them out of a lot of money for real estate.
You know, I was a boxer for many years, and I was pretty good.
Yeah.
Set records that won't. Yeah,
I think I've seen some pictures.
But I loved getting up in front of 10 and 12,000 people and having them all clap for me, because I know they were clapping for me. They were clapping for that other guy. They were pulling for me.
Yeah.
I thought they were.
Well, hey.
And that was my stage. I loved it when they raised my hand, said, "This is the winner," you know. And so when I just transferred that to in front of the camera, and I've been able to transfer that to just talking to people like you're talking about, you know. And I want to tell you, my mom and dad would be so proud of me, but they'd really be surprised. They'd say, "Where did that come from?"
You mentioned Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
What there's conflicting stories about Johnny Carson. I don't even know why I'm going back to this.
He was a conflicted person.
Well, and I did watch. I was always watching Johnny Carson. Of course, at night that's what you did. We all watched
the greatest
Johnny
of them all. There'll never be another.
And I've been to the studio and back when it was the way it was, and just a brilliant guy, but man, had a personal life that was a mess.
Oh gosh!
But a great drummer, you know. I mean, Buddy Rich and him were best friends, and
he loved to do magic tricks.
He was a magician,
and he was pretty good at it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Now was he from Nebraska?
Somewhere in Nebraska. Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but I just you were there during the golden era, I think, of Hollywood.
I think it was pretty much the golden era too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were very fortunate. You're blessed.
Let me tell you how I met Johnny Carson.
Okay.
When I the first time I went out to see Mel Brooks, got on an airplane out here at Love Field, Braniff Airlines.
Yep.
And that was back when you could get on an airplane that held 150 people. There might be 40 people on it. Mm-hmm. Guy got on with me, and he had a orange suit on and a white shirt and chains all around his neck. He's a white guy, and we never said a word to each other till we got off the airplane. We were waiting for our bags. He said, we started talking. He said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a fireman." He said, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "Well, I'm going to see a guy named Mel Brooks about a picture." And he said, "Mel Brooks? I know Mel Brooks." He said, my name's Bud Robinson. Bud Robinson was Doc Severson's manager.
Really?
Bud Robinson's office was right next door to Johnny's. So we talked, and he took me over to the studio.
Wow.
Because he lived 3 blocks from the studio. And he said, "Hey, won't you come to the show tonight?" I said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Well, I'll have tickets for you if you want to bring somebody." But I didn't know anybody. And went to the show that night, and Bob Hope was on the show. Met Bob Hope. And of course, I met Johnny, and Johnny liked me. I know he did. So,
But you're likable, see.
uh,
There's a lot of people that aren't likable. and I've heard some stories about that, too.
but I love Johnny. Well, Johnny was Johnny. So that's how I met him, through Bud and Doc. And Doc was we lived in the same neighborhood. And
Doc's still going.
he's still going. Yeah.
I my business partner, Scott Swinson, at the time, this has been probably, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we were doing an auction down in San Miguel de Allende for the poor children. It was with the Arts League. About 20% of San Miguel is expatriates from the United States. So they basically created an art community.
Sure.
And so we go down there to do this auction. And so that night we landed, we went out just to have, drinks and hang out. And we went in this little bit, I guarantee you that the bar we were in probably wasn't any bigger than this whole studio right here. And there's Doc Severinsen playing.
Really?
With about 30 people in the room. Doc Severinsen and all these young guys. He always keeps young people around him now.
Wow.
And so we thought that was pretty cool. And then what was even cooler than that, the next night, he's our celebrity for our auction.
Oh, really?
So he lives there. He lives
there
Miguel.
now?
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
that
Or he
right?
keeps a second home
I
there.
didn't know that.
Yeah, but he looked just like Doc Severinsen.
Oh, is that right?
There's only one Doc Severinsen.
Yeah. Oh, he was so good with he was good with people. Real good guy. Johnny could if you didn't get on his good side right now,
Right.
you never did get on it.
Yeah. He was quick.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, first impressions.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great. Well, we've got a little bit of time left. I guess what would now? I know you love to play golf.
Yeah,
You're a golfer.
play a lot of golf.
You've been playing a lot of golf, and your recall is tremendous. I mean, I find it amazing that you can kick out dates and years and stuff like that. And I mean, think about it. Everything we talked about, you pretty much have it chronological, except for Bob's Big Boy.
Don't ask me where I played golf day before yesterday, because I'm not sure. I played the Tribute. Yeah, I got it now.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Well, you're fighting the weather now.
Yes, that's right.
And I know it's killing you that you're having to stay on the cart path.
Oh, that's yeah.
How many golf tournaments do you do a year?
I do 70 to 73, something like
Wow.
that. And they say, man, that's a golf tournament and a half a week. But at this time of the year, in the fall and in the spring, I might do 5 a week. I'll always do 3 a week anyway, 4 or 5 weeks. And then I'm gone all over the country a lot. I just got back 6 days ago from Greenville, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And, they've had the 2 hurricanes there in the last month or so. They didn't get anything. They were about 100 miles out from...
They just dodged the bullet?
They dodged the bullet, and it was just perfect. Yeah.
What's your favorite golf course?
Oh, Pinehurst number 3, but in Dallas, probably Dallas National. It's special.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you attend a lot of charity events and things of that nature. You're kind of really, when you get down to it, you, other than the athletes that we have in Dallas Fort Worth, you're our celebrity. And we're really proud. I mean,
Well,
we
thank
really
you.
are.
I I have to turn down about half, because you can only, well, every now and then on a Monday I'll play two of them. If it starts early in the morning, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and the other one starts at 1 o'clock, I'll play that tournament, get in my car, and head off and do another one somewhere.
Now, are you still living in Allen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want my address, phone number?
Yeah, I wouldn't give that. I want it, but they can't have it. I think you're in my phone. Oh, so do you have anything that's going on? Are you working any, or are you just kind of doing whatever you want to do?
I'm doing a lot of these Comic Con things all over the country.
Really?
And that's just play, but
Is
they
it fun?
pay you a lot of money. And
They pay you a lot of money to do that.
a lot of money, and big people come to them. The
big stars,
big guys.
Yeah,
and because of Blazing Saddles, I'm right there at the top with those guys because everybody wants to get a picture. They want to talk about Blazing Saddles, and they want to talk about Mel Brooks and all the other people. It's so I do a lot of that, and of course I do about 50 commercials a year. So
I think the first time that you and I met, you wouldn't remember it because you meet so many people, but I did an auction. It was Ducks Unlimited. It was in Frisco.
I do remember it. Everybody in that place had a gun. I swear, that's a fact.
And we were on the ice. I don't know if you remember that. They put plywood down over the Star Center.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah, and that's been quite a few years ago.
And that was the first time I ever did what I'm going to tell you about. I do this probably 20 times a year now at different events. I'll to raise money for whatever charity. I'll say, hey folks, how would y'all like to see me do the very first scene of Blazing Saddles? All the singing and dancing, all the lines and choreography, and yes. Well, I'll be glad to do that, but for the charity here, it's going to cost each person $2, and they'll say, yes, but I'll say, and that's going to the charity, but we don't make change. If you just got a $20 bill, throw it out there. That night, I think we were in Frisco somewhere, so, and I did it that night, and we pulled in about $1,000, and
just off of that.
And gosh, since then, I've been a part of
a
making
tidy amount.
A tidy amount, yeah.
Wow, that is very cool. Other than Slim and Alex, what? And I know we're running out of time, so I'm kind of pushing it a little.
We can do another couple of hours.
We got
It's
hours.
okay.
People around the world don't care.
They don't care.
No, and these guys have nothing to do.
Hey, it's 7 o'clock in somewhere.
That's right. That's right. So the bigger stars, Gene Wilder, Cleavon Little, those guys. How was that working with those guys?
I loved everybody on the show. Gene was a very quiet guy. He had his nose in a book all the time, read a script, but he was so helpful. He'd say, nobody would tell me what to do. They'd say, think about this, think about this. And everybody was helpful. Madeline Kahn, there's a real story. When we did Paper Moon together,
yep.
And when we finished, I was finishing on a Saturday night. She finished the night before, Friday night, and she had to get back to New York on a late night flight. She came across the hall at the hotel we were staying in, knocked on my door, and gave me a hug. Said it was sure nice working with you. Had a great time. She turned around to leave, and she walked back. She said, you and I are going to work together one of these days. I know it. I said, I'm going back to the fire department. She says, I don't care. You and I will work together one of these days. 4.5 months later, we're doing Blazing Saddles.
Wow.
And she had nothing to do with it. I mean,
she just intuitive.
Yeah.
She just knew.
Oh, yeah. She was she was a late blooming flower child.
Well, and yes. Well, and she was fun.
Oh God!
And Young Frankenstein. She made
yes.
Frankenstein. she was something.
Oh God! And she was Mel Brooks' favorite actor or actress to ever work with.
Mm.
He just loved her. Oh, she was so good.
So how old is Mel now?
92.
92.
Yeah,
Wow.
and if we called his office right now,
Yeah.
he
working.
might even answer the phone. He will be in the office, I guarantee you.
Wow.
But he might just answer the phone too.
Keeps him young. Keeps him young.
When he answers the phone, though, he'll say, "Hello," because somebody might say, "I'm trying to reach Mel Brooks." He'll say, "He's not here." Just hang up, But so he'll always just say, "Hello."
You'll know if it's him or not.
Yeah.
So we have a signature line that's this particular show. So you want to give that line from Blazing Saddles?
Oh yes, I've said this line a couple of times. Come on, boys! I don't hear no singing. And then the rest of that would be, when you was little guys, you sang like birds. Now you're big guys. How about a good old big guy work song? Something like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Don't know that one, huh? Well, what about the Camptown Ladies? Oh, the Camptown Ladies sing this song. Da-da-da-da-da-da. There you go.
Thank you very much. Burton Gilliam, it's been a pleasure and
Man.
an honor to have you with me. I hope we get to do it again sometime. We'll catch up down the road, and of course we'll be seeing you around here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and probably on a movie sometime when you decide to do some work.
There you go.
All right. Well, guys.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. It's been fun. We've had a great time with Burton, and we love good people. He's good people. So on behalf of everybody here in Dallas at Lincoln Center, the Mike McGavel Jones Show, we bid you adieu, and we'll see you next time. God bless.